everyone, it's Alicia. Another car side ride, as I like to do. Today, I want to talk about the urgency of getting this thing right. People, we are running out of time, first and foremost, but also it is so very important that we understand the gravity of our situation. So imagine this. Remember the beginning of the movie Forrest Gump, when he goes off to war, to Vietnam, and the helicopter is hovering over all the jungle, and he lands in this camp where everyone just looks like they're having a good time. I mean, they're in war, but people are playing cards and, doing things to keep their minds off things and just entertainment. And, they're showing him, what's going on and where everything is, right? So God has given us this gift of life because he didn't have to give it to us, right? He's given us this gift of life, and he's dropped us down, and he's like, okay, now fight for your life, okay? So what we don't realize is that we're in the middle of a war zone. This is a war zone, okay? But when we get here, it's sort of like base camp. There's a lot of action, there's things going on, but if you pan out and you look around the horizon, you would see that there's, things being blown up, and there's bombs going off, and there's this, we're in the middle of the war, okay? You hear shots and machine guns, and we're in the middle of a war, right? So while we're in the middle of this war, the enemy is hunting us, okay? So we're at base camp, we're fighting, but we're also being hunted, okay? And so the enemy is studying us on the side. He's studying us, and he's getting to know what we like. He's getting to know what we don't like. He's getting to know our struggles and our weaknesses. And then he drops down all this propaganda from the sky. And the purpose of the propaganda is to lure us into the enemy's trap so that he can take us out, okay? And he tries everything. He tries, oh, come see our pretty women, or oh, come see our handsome men, or if you come hang out over here, it's kind of fun. And all of these are different paths for the enemy to draw us out of the base camp into his trap, right? So there are some people who never leave base camp. There are some people who just, it never dawns on them to start fighting, that this is actual a war, that they need to be fighting. Some people just think that they're there to have fun. Then there are people who get pulled in by the propaganda, and they take the wrong paths. And he's dropping down all kinds of propaganda. There's all these different paths, and those paths are usually easily found and wide, and you see other people going down them, because the path that's wide and paved with good intention is generally the path to hell and to deceit and to destruction. But then you see that there are some people who, while they're at base camp, it starts to dawn on them that something's not right. Like, this cannot be all that there is. This cannot be all that's going on. They start to realize that there's something amiss, and that they need to be doing something else. And usually, if you're listening to Jesus's voice, he's saying, follow me. Now, following Jesus is the right path, but it's not the easy path. when he takes you on this path, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work to stay on the right path. You're going to have to work to find your way through it, to work out things. It's going to be scary. The enemy is going to be throwing darts at you. But in the Bible, God has said that he will direct our path. So while we're on the path, it's sort of like, we're being hunted. So we have to protect ourselves from the enemy. But he gives us these tools. He gives us all of these weapons, right? He gives us the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the shoes of the gospel of peace, the sword of the Spirit. He gives us the shield of faith. He gives us all these tools, right? And so we're fighting. We're trying to evade the enemy, okay? We're trying not to get caught up in a snare. At the same time, we're having to look for these nuggets of truth. We're having to make sure that we stay studied up on the word so that we can tell which way to go, which way is right, which way is, in order to stay on that right path, we have to really be in tune with the Lord so that he can guide us down that thin, narrow path. People, it is so urgent that we understand that we have to fight. We can't just sit back and think that we're gonna make it to heaven if we just sit here and we don't do anything. Getting to heaven is work. Getting to heaven it's not about, our deeds, but it's about walking this path with the Lord and trusting him and having faith that he will take us to the next little bit of truth that we need to get to the next step. I mean, it's such a very nuanced, you have to be listening to him so closely. But when you do, he will guide you and he'll tell you where to go and when to get down and when to dodge. So people, the purpose of this video is just to say, we cannot mess this up, people. You got to read your Bible. You got to get in that word. You got to study it, okay? Because that's how he guides our path. We got to be obedient, okay? Serious obedience. When he says jump, we say how high, kind of.